Now when it comes to calisthenics goals, the main ones are handstand push-ups, press handstand, muscle up, planche, and freestanding handstand. Now obviously there's lots of others, but the principles we're going to go through today carry over to those as well. And when it comes to achieving the goals, there's 3 very important things that we need to consider and be realistic about. Number 1, our current level. Number 2, the end goal, so the shining light. What's the thing we really want to achieve? The massive one, our available time to train. Now that's not just this week, that's consistently over the next 6 to 12 months, as that's going to dictate how much volume, how much work we can do, and the amount of goals that we should be aiming for. So for each of your goals, I'll be writing them down like this, and then I'll be drawing a line in this direction and a line in this direction. And then let's write down the end goal, and we'll go to the extremes on these ones. They might not be your end goals, but they're going to be end goals for a lot of people. So for the handstand push-up, let's say something like a 90-degree handstand push-up. For the press handstand, let's go with the shoulder press. For the muscle up, let's go with the strict bar muscle up. For planche, full planche. So straight legs and a 10-second hold. Freestanding handstand, let's go all the way to a 1-arm handstand. Again, let's call that a 10-second straddle. And then for the current level, let's go with the easiest variations, but some of you are going to be down this progression line already. Let's start with those easier versions. So for handstand push-up, let's do pike push-up. For press handstand, let's go with floor press. So mimicking the press handstand but laying on your back on the floor. For the muscle up, let's go with chin up and dip. For planche, planche lean. And for freestanding handstand, let's go with kick up to the wall. Now, like I say, that might not fit everyone. You might be before this or you might be after this. And these might not be your goals or your end goals, but just do your variations and then you'll have something that looks like that. And then we just need to go through each one and make some smaller goals, so progressive goals that's going to be achieved on the road to the main shining light goal. And it's probably easier to work backwards with most of these. So 90-degree handstand push-up, so a deficit handstand push-up. This would be a floor freestanding. This would maybe be an eccentric deficit. And obviously there's more progressions in there as well. We're not just going to jump between these ones. There's smaller increments in terms of our training, but these could be seen as goals. We might have a wall handstand push-up, and we might have a freestanding eccentric before we get to the floor version. So handstand push-up is going to look something like that. Floor press, very similar. So the press handstand is a straddle. Shoulder press, we're going to get a eccentric shoulder before that. And we're going to get a hands raised, so deficit straddle press. Here we might have eccentric freestanding press and an eccentric wall press there. So this one might be a ring muscle up. We need an eccentric ring before that. Toe assist, eccentric bar, band assist, bar version. This planche might be advanced tuck. We have straddle planche here and froggy position or half lay, something like that. Band assist tuck and tuck planche. So the freestanding handstand might be a 30-second hold in the middle of the room. This might be a 60-second hold. That's a really big jump actually to a 1-arm handstand, but let's go fingertip. That would be heel pull, and that would be toe pull. So understanding underbalance and overbalance in a freestanding handstand. And now we can refine your achievable goals in 2025 a little bit more. Now, how quickly you achieve these is going to be very individual, and you might need a help from a coach to work out what's achievable for you. But bearing these in mind, plus your available time to train, plus priorities, but we'll talk about that in a second in terms of how we program towards these goals. But it might be that your realistic goal for 2025 is this, is this, and this. And it doesn't mean you're not going to have these end goals, but this could be your 2-year goal instead of having all of these as your 2025 goal and not achieving any of them because they're just too far in front of you. But once you've done this, I highly recommend you then prioritize each of these goals. So you might say, okay, freestanding handstand is my number 1, muscle up is my number 2, handstand push up is my number 3, and planche is my number 4, press then is my number 5. So something like that. So you're going to have priorities. Priorities is very important when it comes to programming. But again, we need to be realistic on the priorities, because if you put freestanding handstand push up as your number 1 goal, but your freestanding handstand is your number 5 goal, there's no way you're going to achieve this without first achieving this. So you actually need to flip those over, especially when it comes to programming. Now, most of the people that come and train with me, their goals, their calisthenics goals, are attached in some way to having a freestanding handstand, whether that's a press handstand, a handstand push up, or it might be something like a 1-arm handstand. So the freestanding handstand is so important to be the base or the foundation of all the other work, that the volume is pretty high when it comes to programming. However, if your goal is just to muscle up, I say just, it's a great goal that's hard to achieve, you obviously don't need a freestanding handstand. Now, my favorite way of programming for people and for myself, and it's also the most commonly used gymnastic strength or calisthenic strength programming, is to split your bent arm strength and your straight arm strength into 2 separate days or 2 separate sessions. And for most people, if you have experience in these movements, you need to be working 2 to 4 times per week on both of those. Plus, if we've got the handstand related goals like the handstand push-ups, the press handstands and things like that, we need the freestanding handstand or the handstand balance work plus mobility to be done very frequently. So something like 4 to 6 times per week. Now, if you don't want to know what straight arm strength is, that would be planche. So anything where the arms are staying straight, front levers, back levers, press handstands. And then our bent arm strength is going to be things like chin ups, dips, muscle ups, handstand push ups. So even going on the low side, so if we say the bent arm strength needs 2 sessions per week, the straight arm strength needs 2 sessions per week, and the freestyle handstand mobility needs 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That means we need 8 sessions per week. And there's only 7 days. And if you think the average person trains 3 times per week, we have an issue. Now, it's not saying it can't be done, but there's 2 scenarios here. Now, scenario number 1 is we have someone that has 2 to 3 hours per day, every day to train, and they can just go, okay, I'm going to do handstands on Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday. Then they're going to train bent arm strength after their handstands, their straight arm strength by itself on Tuesday, then their bent arm again, then their straight arm. Actually, let's give them Sunday off and put a handstand in there. And because they've got so much time, let's even give them an extra day where we'll put in an extra bent arm session there, because maybe their bent arm work, their handstand push-ups is a higher priority than their straight arm. So they do more sessions per week. Now, in reality, most people aren't going to have this type of availability to train, but it can be done, especially if you have short, sharp sessions that are around 30 minutes long. Then you can easily combine them. So think if your handstand and mobility is 30 minutes and your bent arm session is 30, we only have a total of 60 minutes of work. And in reality, with most people are going to take that to 60 to 90. So 60 to 90 minutes is not an unrealistic time for a training session, but what's unrealistic for most people is doing that 6 times a week. But that person is obviously going to achieve their goals very quickly if they can keep up the consistency, the recovery, and they know how to program correctly. But in reality, a lot of you are going to have other commitments. You're going to have work, you're going to have family, you're going to have things that just get in the way and mean that you can't train for 90 minutes 6 or 7 times per week. So then we just need to get a little bit more specific on our goals and obviously our current level as well. If you're a total beginner, you can merge all of these movements together and have 1 or 2 sessions that you just repeat 3 or 4 times a week, where you're covering all the basic movements, and that works really well up to a certain point. when you get to a certain level when you need to be putting in multiple sessions of the same thing to achieve some of those pointy end things. But for most people, they might be able to do a handstand session here, handstand session here, handstand session here and here, a bent arm session, a straight arm session, a bent arm session, and a straight arm session. And that way we're getting the minimum 1, 2, 3, 4 handstand sessions per week. We're getting 1 bent arm, 2 bent arm, 1 straight arm, 2 straight arm. So we're getting the minimum of 2 skill strength sessions per week. So that could be our handstand push-up priority session there, our planche session here, handstand push-up again there, and planche there. Now that can work, but the downside is here in terms of the goals, we're only going to achieve the planche and the handstand push-up. We're not working on our press handstand, we're not working on our muscle up, but we're being sensible and we're prioritizing our skills that we want to achieve first. So it's really going to come down to you working out exactly what your goals are, looking at your current level and how much availability you have. And then you can just stack the relevant goals in priority order together to achieve your goals. And this is what I've tried to do with my app, is I've tried to make it as simplistic as possible. I've tried to give programs that are nice, short and sharp with just the right exercises in to achieve the main skills, like the handstand push-up, the press handstand, the muscle up, the planche, the freestand handstand. But it's down to you to work out how you stack them in your week and making sure that it's achievable from a consistency point of view. All of these movements are quite easy to achieve if we're consistent with our sessions week after week, month after month, and we're being realistic with how much time we have and our current level. Now, if you're totally confused by this, I'd highly recommend you find a coach, get them to assess your current level and program for you according to your goals, equipment, availability to train, and all of those sorts of things. Now, I offer online coaching, but I might not be the best person for you. You need to find someone that has experience in the specific goals that you would like to achieve. Let me know if you have any questions down below. It would be really interesting to know what your goals are for 2025, and I'll speak to you in the next one.